Fuck you, Vickerson Film Productions. Yeah, let's get to the point. Insert usual intro here, blah blah blah. I'm gonna be doing the 5th ALO ramblings, blah blah blah. And yeah, let's get started. Number 1. The Little Western Maya was built by the Tidmouth and Hardwick Railway, which was completed from 1858 to 1870, connecting from Hardwick to Tidmouth. The line had a unique gauge of 5 foot 3 inches, or Irish gauge, and uses steam locomotives of that gauge to operate along the line. The line became a prosperous site, even after the merger of the Tidmouth and Hardwick Railway with the Tidmouth, Nafford and Elsbridge, and the standard gauge lines being added between Tidmouth and Alsborough during the war. In the 1940s, the Irish gauge section between Tidmouth and Alsborough was removed, making the line isolated until it was pushed back towards Hardwick, bound for the old Cronk and Hardwick Railway in 1967. A year prior, the dieselization of the old Tidmouth and Hardwick Railway had been completed, with new diesel locomotives being ordered and manufactured by different companies and sent to the island during the 1960s. Fortunately, most of the old Cronk and Hardwick Railway steam locomotives are kept into shape, thanks to a heritage foundation, which makes them operable on the old Cronk and Hardwick Railway, and they still do this to this day as of 2024. Number 2. The Northwestern Railway has a variety of named trains, mainly the Wall Northwestern, the St. Pancras Flyer, and the Houston Special. There are other named trains on the island as well, like the Southern, the locally named Make and MacArthur services, also known as the Mikado Special, the Flying Kipper, the Midnight Goods, etc. These services always keeps up to time, with interchange from other railways to connect to other places across the mainland and beyond. As the years went on, steam was replaced with diesel, and in the modern day, the IET and the last remaining Intercity 125s, with the exception of Pivanema, as well as the last remaining locomotive hauled stock, still operated on the island as of today. Number 3. The coffee pots are a fleet of vertical boilered locomotives, which ran alongside the old Tidmouth, Nafford and Elsbridge Railway, which ran from the wharf at Elsbridge towards the harbor at Nafford and later at Tidmouth. These coffee pot engines would stay in service until the 1920s, when the last of them was withdrawn in the 1950s, with one survivor, that being Glynn, now resides at the Ulster Transport Museum. The legacy of the Tidmouth, Nafford and Elsbridge Railways' coffee pots would live on under Glynn's preservation. Number 4. The GWR Saints are a fleet of 460 steam locomotives, which were built by the Great Western Railway. They were built between 1902 to 1913 and were used on express passenger trains along the GWR system. One of these Saint-class locomotives was sent to the Northwestern Railway on loan, and was proven to be a success after some trials. Unfortunately, it was sent back to its original owners. While most of the Saint-class locomotives were scrapped, a replica was built between 2009 and 2019, known as Lady of Legend. She would be built by the Saint Project and would be placed into operations after being built. She would visit many heritage railways, even visiting the island of Soto on numerous occasions. She is still in operation to this day. Number 5. Bear is a British Rail Class 35 High-Mech that was built by Swindon Works in the 1960s. He was used on the Western region for most of his life, before ending up at the Northwestern region in 1967. He was trialed along the Northwestern region alongside a Class 45. It was proven to be successful, and the diesel hydraulic was bought by the Northwestern region later that year. After being bought, the Class 35 was repainted into BR Green. However, during the late 1980s, it was repainted back into BR Blue before reverting back to its original livery in 1989. Bear is still operating on the Northwestern Railway ever since. Number 6. The Orcs Diesel is an obscure Railway series character that only appeared in James and the Diesel engines. In one of these pages of Deep Freeze, he can be seen rescuing James. On the other page, he can be seen with both James, Henry, and Donald at the sheds. So, I decided to do my own take on the Works diesel. The Works diesel was built in 1965 and was numbered D1976 before being renumbered to 4700. He worked at Bescott Motor Power Depot for most of his life before being allocated to Crovan's Gate MPD for maintenance duties along the northwestern region. In the year 2000, number 4700 was rebuilt into a Class 57 and was numbered 5700 and was sent to the Northwestern Railway. After being rebuilt into a Class 57, it went through numerous of trials for entering in service a month later. The Works diesel, now named Reginald Payne, or Payne for short, is still operating on the Northwestern Railway as a departmental stock. Number 7. In the 1960s, the yards at Tidmouth were modernizing, and so, in 1964, British Rail built a brand new yard just 2 miles away from Tidmouth, which is known as the Tidmouth Bay Marshalling Yards. This tinsely designed marshalling yard became the second largest marshalling yard ever to be built by British Rail in the British Isles. It will remain in operation until the privatization era, where it finally closed in the year 2000 by the English, Welsh, and Scottish Railway and Freightliner. The Tidmouth Bay MPD was also built on the site of the former marshalling yard, with it remaining in operation even after it shut down. Today, a brand new MPD, which sits on the old MPD, is still in operation alongside the yards, carriage sidings, and a steam locomotive roundhouse. Number 8. The Howen Lake Bypass is a route that splits off from the Peel-Godred branch line at Abbey, then goes to Howen Lake, before arriving back at the Peel-Godred branch line via Kirkmacham. It used to be a branch line splitting from Kildane towards the station, before being extended towards Peel-Godred in the 1920s. It was closed in the 1960s, and later a rock slide, which occurred in 1964, would destroy the viaduct. It wasn't until the 1980s when the Howen Lake Society had bought the old line and soon helped with the NWR to help rebuild the line back to its former glory via using Henry. The restoration of the Howen Lake line would be completed in 1984, and soon after that, electrification came to the old Howen line and soon became operational as a part of the Peel-Godred family. The line still exists as of today. Number 9. The town of Great Waterton is a historic landmark and tourist spot just located north from the Skarloey Railway. The town was formed in medieval times, while the railways didn't make it to Great Waterton until the 1850s, when the waterworks and mine shafts were served by a branch line by the Sodor and Mainland Railway. The branch to Great Waterton opened in 1860 from Crovan's Gate to the station and then bound for Morgan's Mine. Eventually, the branch line saw its decline after the mines had dried up, and soon the Great Waterton branch was shut down in 1901. Eventually, its townsfolk had left Great Waterton to more populated areas and was soon abandoned until Thomas had rediscovered it on a fool's errand. And thus, cue the events of the Great Discovery occurring in 1955, Great Waterton was restored as a tourist landmark and a National Historical Site later on in its life. Both the town and the railway line connecting from here to Crovan's Gate is still in operation as of today. And finally, number 10. The Blue Mountain Quarry is a large industrialized quarry that is located just north of Peel-Godred along the Peel-Godred branch line and was opened in the 1970s. The quarry was first founded in the 1960s when, just north of Peel-Godred, a new type of slate was found known as blue slate, and thus the Blue Mountain Line was opened in the 1970s, with trains coming in and out of the yards at Peel-Godred at the now extended Gorsaflin line, constructing the new quarry until it was finally opened in 1974. and thus trains coming in and out of the Garza Flint Tunnel would reach into a junction bound for the Blue Mountain Quarry itself after opening. Rolling stock used along the narrow gauge portions of the Blue Mountain Quarry would follow the industrial type of shunters, which would operate around the quarry, alongside privately owned steam locomotives which were bought by the Skarloey Railway. Standard gauge operations included 5 Class 11s, 13 Class 59s, and 22 Class 58s, with a bonus of 59 Class 59s. The Blue Mountain Quarry has seen a fair share of transfers from the Skarloey Railway and Northwestern Railway rolling stock, coming in and out of the quarry alongside Network Rail. The Blue Mountain Quarry is still in operation as of 2024. That's it. That's the one and done video. The next one will be coming out next month, so yeah, goodbye.